Let's start from the education front, because Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission is asking striking members of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union Ghana to call off its strike and return to the negotiation table. Professor Ahmed Jinapo has also described the industrial action by TGNUSD to protest its lack of representation on University Council as illegal.
First of all, we've had numerous conversations, and in some of Ghana, but here we have the law. I've explained to them that establish various mixed teachers and workers in the board to represent that don't have a big point process to gain in terms of, but we haven't changed. So if we haven't got to change, I don't think it should be put up there, especially what is the way to change. At the end of it, we have that rules and we have that more or less outside. We support the national development is sort of the teaching work of Ghana, and probably try. But we on the representation is guided, and the first bit are specific when it comes based present on the gap. That's it. We believe that the represent have the best they can have. Must form by and if it's supposed to we have stress the better, but we punish thereby when look at people strike the violence with that first guided the act and the parole to this. So we are there's not about there is a point between the different and see how the results.
So have you spoken to the leadership of this group to come to the negotiation table?
We've met them so many times. In fact, before they issued that threat of GTEC having to withdraw the letter letting the embargo, I met them. And as a matter of fact, I've been engaging them, and they were telling the fact that GTEC has been very supportive in getting these issues resolved. But of course, sometimes ego and I don't know how to put it, takes more or less the bigger part of how we go about it. The law is what it is as it stands now. The Act of the Universities recognize the Teachers and Education Workers Union, of which the Tertiary Education Workers Union on the recent were members. And for all these years, that has been the body that has been represented on council. So if Tertiary Education Workers Union is going through the process, in fact, as we speak, they don't have a bargaining certificate. You know, so if they are going through the processes to get legitimacy, I think it should be a transitional period. It doesn't necessarily have to be today. It can be tomorrow. And I believe that on Monday, the members of the Teachers and Education Workers Union will be going to work. As you know, we have the Teachers and Education Workers Union and the Tertiary Education Workers Union on all the campuses. They will definitely be going to work. There's no doubt about it. The Tertiary Education Workers Union, who will not be going to work, GTEC will continue to engage them. And we are more interested in getting an amicable solution to this issue. In as much as we appreciate their concerns, they need to follow the law. That is all why we are calling it.
But Prof, I get where you're coming from. However, these are also workers who work at certain campuses, and this will put some pressure on the tail, the mother body, if I should put it that way, or come Monday. How then are you going to, block that gap or fill in that gap when these people are working?
The way we are going to fill that gap, as I indicated, is to refer the issue to the National Labour Commission. The National Labour Commission is a constitutionally mandated body to deal with these issues. And as the Tertiary Education Workers Union leaders wanted to the fact that TGNUSD has always been the for them to put your debt on them. We are a team. We are not part of the institution that more or less analyzes it. But at the end of it, my position is that this should not be the reason why they should go on strike. Informed by representation of council. No, it shouldn't be the case. Because Special Education Workers Union will attest to the fact that they are still in the processes of getting the details. And as I indicated, even currently, notwithstanding their numbers, in some institutions, they don't have a packaging certificate. That is a fact. The laws of the various universities informed by the Act is very specific on which union is supposed to be represented. You go to Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where AUG8, based on the data that was submitted to GTech by management of that institution, have the largest number. The Act is unequivocal. It says Teachers and Education Workers Union. And this is what has been happening all over the years, of which Special Education Workers Union happen to have been members. So if they're broken away, they need to make sure that the law is more or less amended in a manner that accommodates them. If it doesn't, and you continue to put an embargo as was done by GTech about a week ago, somebody will take you on legally because the law is unequivocal when it comes to that representation. So I think moving forward by next week, we should be able to resolve this.
Right.
My only concern and caution is that the Special Education Workers Union should not take the law into their hands. In fact, it happened at UTS, where a sworn KU member was attacked by a group of people, and in fact, we had intelligence that they are threatening to go and disrupt council meetings. I don't think we are going to allow that. Right. Let's go according to the stipulations of the law. It is in their right to declare strike, but it is also instructive to state that once the legally mandated body, which is LLC, based on its investigations and its ruling, says that they should go back to work, they have no option than to go back to work and follow the legal process through an appellate body, which probably would be the court. But we don't want to get there. Let's try as much as possible not to create any form of confusion on the campus. Thank you so much.
Meanwhile, the chairman of TEU Ghana TGNUSD chapter has explained that it will take what it will take them to return to the negotiation table.
I'm saying that let's look at the process of embarking on industrial action. It's enshrined in section 159 A and B in the Labour Act 651. You give 7-day ultimatum, you inform the Labour Commission and the other parties, which we have done that. And all this room is for these days have to make the parties to make good use of it, which we have done that. So it isn't that we did not inform him that we are going on strike. We informed him and gave him 7-day ultimatums required by the law. No, it has not been dealt with. It has been dealt with one-sided way by Professor Abdullah Jinapor, and this is where we have found ourselves. Because he knew that now the unions are two, TEU Ghana and TEU TUC. And what we're supposed to do now is to go for verification, which we are already with the Labour Department. And there's what we call frustration over there. And his office and that of the Minister of Education and Minister of Labour and Employment should facilitate that. And they are reluctant. And it has brought us to where we are now. So where we are now, we think that this is the only remedy. In fact, the Labour Commission has even written to him that he should comment on our what the grievances that we have raised in our letter, informing the Labour Commission and they themselves that we are going on strike. As we speak, we have not heard from the Labour Commission. We presume if they have done that, Labour Commission may by all means have referred the matter to us, and the strike wouldn't have come on. Yes, so Monday we'll hear what Professor Jinapor is saying. If Professor Jinapor is saying that we should come to negotiation table, which we are ready, he should invite us, because he already invited us 26 to attend a meeting, and he brought it to an end without telling us anything. You understand? So if he wants us to go to negotiation again, he should invite us and also write the letters to the university, suspending all the universities, telling the university suspend the TEU TUC, the minority, to go on council, so that it becomes smooth, and then we'll all sit and look at the verification and then we'll finish the matter.
Let's now take you to the presidency because Chief of Staff Julius Deborah is asking members of the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan to intensify the efforts to end the trend. He says despite the progress made under NACAP, it has not reduced actual incident of corruption. Now, speaking at the swearing-in ceremony of the group at the presidency, he stressed that accountability and the fight against corruption remains central to President Mahama's legacy term.
The following achievements of NACAP were reported. The implementation of NACAP led to the following: increased awareness of the havoc caused by corruption and available reporting mechanism, including whistleblowing. 2. Accelerated digitization of financial services, revenue authorities, and ports and harbors, leading to improved efficiency and reduced discretion. Reduction in sexual harassment and sextortion, supported by workplace safe reporting mechanism. Next, implementation of the National Anti-Money Laundering, Combating, and Financing of Terrorism and Provocation of Weapons of Mass Destruction guidelines for banks and non-bank financial institutions in Ghana. During this period, Ghana witnessed increased operational activity from key anti-corruption and law enforcement agencies, such as the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, (RAJ), Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, and the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, in both administrative and criminal investigations, prosecutions, asset tracing, seizure, and recovery. However, it is also worth noting that after Ghana's best performance score of 48% on the Corruption Perception Index, CPI, in 2024, the year NACAP was passed by Parliament, the implementation of NACAP from 2015 to 2024 has coincided with a downward trending of the country's CPI score to the current all-time low of 42% in the last year of the NACAP. Clearly, one could argue that NACAP has not performed too well when it comes to the actual reduction of corruption in our country. And I'm sure the evidence is out there for all Ghanaians to see. We have to reverse this trend, and I charge this group to ensure that the strategy does precisely that. This is consistent with the promise that His Excellency the President made to Ghanaians. Accountability and the fight against corruption constitute a key pillar in the legacy term of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Ethics must be a key pillar in the development of the next National Anti-Corruption Strategy, because corruption is first and foremost a moral issue before legality.
Meanwhile, Deputy Chief of Staff Nana Bampoado expressed confidence in the group's capacity, urging them to combine their expertise to develop a fit-for-purpose national corruption strategy too.
I've heard from the Chief of Staff about the Corruption Perception Index and 42%. Our task is to reduce corruption in Ghana, to ensure that the revenue and the resources of Ghana are used for the welfare of the people of Ghana. The composition of this group is varied, and we're hoping that you would harness your strengths for us to come up with a fit-for-purpose NACAP 2. It is very important that we reverse this trend, and it is very important that we have a strong coordinating institution that will address the reduction of corruption and reverse the trend. It is very important that we have a strategy that would work. It is important that we make use of technology. We have more institutions, we have advanced technology, and we also have global activism. And this should come together to create a NACAP 2 that will work, that will reduce corruption, and that will ensure that we optimize our resources where they ought to be, the welfare of the people of Ghana. I'm sure that this will happen, and we will get a very strong NACAP 2 that will work to reduce corruption.
Well, away from that, the Ghana Police Service has announced the establishment of a 24-hour Economic Security Secretariat to ensure round-the-clock public safety and support the smooth, crime-free implementation of the government's 24-hour economic policy. The Secretariat, to be based at the National Police Headquarters, will serve as the central coordinating body for all security-related aspects of the policy, aligning resources and strategies to maintain law and order under the extended economic shadow. The announcement was made by the Director General of the Private Security Organizations Directorate of the Ghana Police Service, COP Daniel Kwame Friye, during the passing out ceremony of 238 police recruits in Ho.
238 recruits, made up of 31 under-cadets and 207 general recruits, participated in the passing out ceremony and will soon be formally admitted as personnel of the police service. They were taken through academic work and field training exercises to gain hands-on experience. Addressing the parade, the Director General of the Private Security Organization of the Ghana Police Service, COP Daniel Kwame Friye, announced contributions of the police service to a successful implementation of the 24-hour economy policy.
In line with these proactive measures, the police administration has established a new unit at the police headquarters known as the 24-hour Security Secretariat to oversee the security coordination of the implementation of the 24-hour economy policy. The country's reliance on Ghana police for their role in promoting peace, security, social cohesion necessary for national development cannot be overemphasized. I urge you all on parade to exhibit high sense of competence that complement the confidence that the citizens repose in you.
He said that the current administration has undertaken a major reinforcement of human resources.
The changing face of security in Ghana, which is characterized by emerging complex and cyber-related crimes, violent conflicts, and changes in modus operandi of criminals, among others, continue to place a huge demand on personnel of the Ghana Police Service to deliver services that are more diverse, complex, skilled, and specialized to deal with these menaces confronting us. The police administration, in response to these developments, quickly moved to restore the morale of the personnel and refocus the specialized units to concentrate on their core mandates while taking steps to improve the manpower needs of these units. As you are aware, a team came around to screen these recruits for selection into the specialized units.
Recruits who excelled in the various fields were decorated with awards. General recruit Amedomeriens Emmanuel won the best recruit and overall best for the Regional Police Training School in Rura. Fred Kwame Asari, join me.
Well, when 24-year-old Kwame was picked up for murder in 2023, he thought he would get a fair hearing within weeks, but without a lawyer and no money for one, he has spent nearly 2 years behind bars awaiting trial. His story is one of many, as the Legal Aid Commission says it is severely understaffed, leaving thousands like Kwame stuck in a system without legal help. Rita Kukunti Ali of the Commission says the lack of personnel is directly contributing to Ghana's prison overcrowding crisis. He spoke at a legal outreach organized by the Greater Accra chapter of the Ghana Bar Association in the Nsawam prison. Here's Stephen Menson's report.
Kwame sits silently on a plastic bench inside the Nsawam prison. He was arrested in 2021 for allegedly stabbing and killing someone during a street altercation. He says he was never given legal representation in court and remained in police custody for nearly 2 years without trial. Kwame says he feels abandoned and hurt by a system meant to protect the innocent until proven guilty. His lack of legal support is one of many that the Legal Aid Commission says stems from severe understaffing.
I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer for my first time, but it's not attending to me since 2021. As for this year, I came here July 2024, where I came this year, but I was in police station since December 2021.
But all is not lost. Kwame has been handed a lifeline. The Greater Accra chapter of the Ghana Bar Association stepped in, offering free legal counsel to inmates and to other Ghanaians in parts of the country who cannot afford private lawyers. Rita Kukunti Ali is a member of the Ghana Bar Association and the Ghana Legal Aid.
I am at the Legal Aid Commission, but I tell you what, we are understaffed at the Commission. We are overwhelmed with cases, and so even though the Commission has been set up by the state to deal with this kind of people who do not have money on their own to engage private lawyers, we are not many. The lawyers at the Commission are not many to deal with all these cases. Majority of the inmates here are on remand, which means that their cases have not yet been tried. And for some of them, the reason why their cases have not been tried is because they do not have lawyers. Because if you have a lawyer, your lawyer is going to push and, get your case heard in good time. But for some of them, because they don't have lawyers, they are almost like forgotten. They are here, they can be here for years, and their case will not be heard. So this is very, very, very important. It's very necessary. It's all about justice.
Meanwhile, the Eastern Regional Director of Prisons is also making a fresh appeal to the government for an urgent review of the daily feeding allowance for inmates currently pegged at a cedi and 80 pesos.
Sure, it is a challenge feeding because they are being fed on 1 cedi 80 pesos a day. And then this has persisted over a decade ago. And then we know what is obtained currently in the market. So the feeding rates of 1 cedi 80 pesos to provide 3 square meals, not only that, but nutritious meals for the inmates is definitely a challenge.
Until these concerns are addressed, officials warn that the prison system will continue to be overwhelmed and many inmates will continue to suffer. For Joy News, Stephen Mensah.
Well, Communications Minister Sam George has revealed the arrest of more than 400 individuals linked to various cyber crimes, including fraud, forgery, and romance crime. The suspects were arrested at 2 separate locations in Tema and Sogakope in special operations by the Cyber Security Agency and the Ghana Police Service. There's more in the following report.
Cyber fraud and romance scam have become a growing trend which government is finding ways to deal with in a move to curb the menace. Early this week, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, and Interpol, in partnership with Ghanaian counterparts, repatriated a businessman, Joseph Bedu-Boating, also known as Dada Joe Remix, to the U.S. to face prosecution over allegations of duping unsuspecting American citizens of over $1 million in a romance scam. Communications Minister Samuel Nate George at a press conference on Thursday provided some updates on the matter as he revealed over 400 individuals have also been arrested in Ghana over similar cases.
As of today, 4 of the 5 persons have been successfully apprehended, 3 have been extradited, and 1 is about to be extradited to the U.S. by Interpol and the AG's office. In one instance, the CSA and the Ghana Immigration Service busted a pig butchering fraud hosting center at the Nyamidria Estate in Tema Community 26. Over 400 persons were arrested from 8 different nationalities. In that particular raid, we seized 4,000 mobile phones, 70 laptops, and 5 firearms. The CSA, in another operation with the Ghana Police Service, busted a sophisticated recruitment fraud ring. After weeks of detailed surveillance, an operation was carried out with the Ghana Police Service in Sogakope, leading to the arrest of 11 suspects, including the gang leader of the group. The gang had extensive capabilities, including forging national identity documents. They're in the cooler now, thanks to the work of the CSA.
The minister also announced a number of measures to help content creators generate revenue, as well as clamp down on nudity on social media, especially on TikTok.
The ministry has formally reopened engagements with PayPal to ensure full access to its service for Ghanaian users. That I'm deeply concerned about some of the content on TikTok. Life, sex, and explicit material on TikTok is completely unacceptable and against our culture and our norms. And those were parts of the conversation I held with TikTok's team to have content moderation in country. But the cybersecurity authorities mandated to do constant surveillance of TikTok platforms and accounts in country that are engaged in content that is anti our culture and not appropriate, and work with the platform operator to take down those accounts and block the owners of those accounts from operating on those platforms.
He also had some good news for subscribers of DSTV.
I have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, Friday, even though it's a public holiday, with the Ghana team and their South African counterparts, the management from South Africa. They arrived tonight to agree on the way forward on the issues raised. The outcomes will be shared with the public in due course. This engagement reflects our commitment to regulatory accountability and our resolve to ensure that digital services in Ghana remain fair, accessible, and responsive to the needs of citizens. I make you one promise. I won't leave tomorrow's meeting without securing a drop in the price of DSTV. That is a solemn promise I make to you.
Meanwhile, government has given a third and final deadline to NextGen in Franco, the company tasked to roll out 5G services across the country, to do so by end of year or risk a renegotiation of their contract. The ministry says it is poised to amend at least 15 of Ghana's communication laws, as well as introduce new bills in Parliament to boost robotic and AI studies in Ghana. James Savage's report for Joy News.
Well, let's go back to our headline story. The Interior Minister has dismissed claims that the Electoral Commission EC Chair security detail has been entirely withdrawn. For some time, EC Chair Jean Mensah had military personnel integrated into her close protection team. However, a report on Friday suggested a full withdrawal of her security, raising public concern over potential exposure to threats. But speaking on Joy News, Montaka family rejected those claims, clarifying that the military component of a detail has simply been reassigned and replaced with police personnel. He further explained that under Ghana's security framework, executive protection for civilian public officials fall within the mandate of the Ghana Police Service, not the armed forces. He emphasized that the change is part of a broader institutional realignment to ensure adherence to legal mandate and command jurisdiction.
Agree that we were no longer going to use military to provide what was civilian protection. So a job was withdrawn and replaced with a police. So if you ask her, she will tell you she has a bodyguard, she has police manning her gate both day and night, and therefore it is never true if anybody says that her security has been withdrawn. What we do generally is to provide security around every neighborhood. But VVIPs, like the chair of the, what do you call it, Electoral Commission, she has a personal bodyguard. Her gate is manned 24/7, just like the Chief Justice, just like the Speaker of Parliament, and all others. And that we are doing. And I'm sure you can call her and find out, and she can confirm that, no, she has both her and her deputies, her office is protected.
But what went into the decision to withdraw the military and replace with the police?
Why should military be performing civilian functions? I mean, our country is not at war. Why should you draw in the military? I mean, you know, the use of military sometimes sends wrong signal to the ordinary citizens. Police are trained with a civilian mind. The military are supposed to concentrate to provide security for external or territorial integrity. So when we draw them in, we are reducing the number of personnel that the military has to perform those difficult tasks that is usually performed by the military.
Is this exercise going to be limited to the EC chair alone, or are we going to see this cut across all?
Everywhere. I mean, you can find out from the former defense minister, you can find out from almost all the civilians that were using militia. All of that has been withdrawn. All that without exception. And this is a decision that we took as a new government, and that's our policy, no civilian. And we've even encouraged our own members who are ordinarily, before they took their offices that they were occupying, some persons were providing military service to them. Yet, when we came, we decided that everybody should be protected with police, and that's what we are doing.
Right, but our independent checks at her residence, it shows that at the time we went, though, there were no police officers on the ground.
That's not true. We don't, I mean, who says that providing security to me as interior minister is to see police all over the streets around my house? They are supposed to be manning my gate. And that's what we are doing. And I'm saying that far out from her, are people minding her gate? Yes. They are minding her gate. They are following her wherever she goes. Yes.
All right. Finally, before I let you go, let's get clarity. Did you have a communication with her prior to the withdrawal of the military?
Yes, I personally did with her. You can ask her, and she'll tell you I did.
You wrote to her or you called her?
I called her. I spoke to her. All those involved. You can ask the former defense minister. I called them personally to give them head start and gave them when it was even going to start. All that.
And they were in agreement?
It's not about you agreement. We are supposed to provide security for you. And we are telling you this is how we are going to do it. It's not for you to agree and disagree.
Well, it's a good time to get some perspectives on this particular matter. Joining me on the telephone now is a renowned security expert, Colonel Festus Abuaje, as well as Deputy MPP General Secretary Haruna Mohammed. Thank you so much. Let me start with you, Haruna. What is your reading of this particular withdrawal of the EC chair at this particular moment when others are raising concerns about the timing of it with just some days to the rerun of elections in the Ablekuma North?
Thank you very much. I will say good afternoon to your cherished viewers and other panelists on the program. Well, this action is a security matter. The position of the Electoral Commission is a position of state. And I don't know the information that the state has, but it is the duty of the state to protect the commissioner. And if the state thinks that they require this level of security to protect her, the state is at the liberty to do so. Probably if we have to be speaking on this matter, I don't think that is going to be a political matter, because this has to be the personal safety and liberty of one state official. And I may not want to politicize this particular decision. However, ask a very critical question where we have seen political actors make statements with regards to her person. But when it comes to her security, I think that the provider of her security is the state, and the state has the duty to protect her and to give her the maximum safety that she needs. If this is the protection that they want to give her, I think that the state cannot be questioned by any of us, because it is not our duty to do so.
Right. You don't see any link between the withdrawal of the security at this moment to what is likely to happen in Ablekuma now, the 19th polling station rerun, which is...
I'm hesitant to question the security of a state official because I don't know what they are seeing or what they have. However, as it is, political actors have made statements, and I am very hesitant from the background that I am coming from, and I would want to leave it at that and leave the state to do. If there is anything that happens to the woman is a lawyer herself. She knows the action that she has to take. But as we stand, the Constitution gives the mandate to the state to give the Electoral Commissioner the maximum protection and security as she needs. And if they so desire not to give, that is them. What is the position of the Constitution, or what is the position of the security arrangement that is due to the woman. So in this particular manner, whatever we say, it is the state decision. But the linkage to politics is left with the general public to make a decision out of that, because political actors have made statements out of that. And for us from the MPP, we are very hesitant when it comes to the personal security of individuals of states.
So talking about a political actors making statements, do you think that is what is beginning to manifest now?
If we continue to put rumors on it and try to put so much sunshine on it, and once it's a security matter, it is very difficult to put rumor on it, because anything can happen as a result of this particular commentary with regards to her security. And you might not be able to answer certain critical questions if you decide to conjecture. So I'm very careful when it comes to security matters.
Right.
However, if we have questions with regards to how NDC wants to treat the woman in terms of her removal, in question of the national chairman making a public statement on that. But I cannot link it to the security situation because it is the state that has the authority to provide security to her. If they decide to withdraw and don't give at all, it is her who has to make her demands right. And when that is being flouted and political actors are called, or institutions of state or other bodies such as TSOs and public service organizations can make commentary if it is flouting the security arrangement for such officers. So I'm still hesitant in terms of the commentary on security of the woman. I leave it to the public to judge if they would do that particular linkage. But there is that lingering question of how or why they want to remove her from office as publicly been announced.
Okay, right. Hold for me. Let me go to Colonel Festus Abuaje. He's a security expert. Is the government action justified at this point in time, withdrawing the military personnel from the EC Chair's security detail or team?
Well, first of all, let me thank you for having me. Permit me to suggest that the assumptions that are behind the way you frame the question are not valid. There is no provision in any of our which suggests that, or which stipulate that the military shall provide security, let's say, to a public official like the EC. It is a function of the police because there is also the tradition and the practice. And all that we have known from Dr. Afarijan's time, at least, to Madame Charlotte Osei, there was no EC that had military protection. We need, therefore, to ask, what changed in the security dynamics of this country that since 2017, the authorities then decided that the EC shall be protected by the military? What changed? Thirdly, we know the use of the military and other anonymous persons in military force. For the first time in the history of this post-independent country, resulted in fatalities during voter registration and during the voting exercise itself in 2020. And then come 2024, again, we lost precious lives. What is it at all that has changed in the security dynamics of this country that, as one of the predecessors who spoke before me said that, are we in conflict or are we coming out of conflict? And the answer is no. We are not a complete country. We are not a post-complete country. The threats that we have emanate from outside of our borders in the form of terrorism. So if national security infrastructure or architecture picks up intelligence that somebody wants to harm the EC and other public officials, Then, as the immediate speaker said, the state will determine the appropriate type of security to be provided. In particular, it will not support the idea of using the military in internal security matters, at least not in elections. And we know that our electoral laws, and indeed the international standard best practice is that the military, when they are used, will support the police. And military will not be found at any place where elections proper are taking place. So maybe the EC headquarters, nationally, regionally, maybe district, could be provided, could be protected by the military, depending on the circumstances. And the EC person is not one that must entitle anybody to military protection. Indeed, I would suggest that the outgoing government must explain to Ghanaians why it considered it necessary to use the military in the roles that it did, not only in elections, but all over the place.
Right.
So this is a situation of normalizing an constitution, the status quo ante, based on international best practice, that the EC will be protected, but not by men and men in uniform. Because as the predecessor said, the military is trained to shoot to kill. And we've seen that over the past 8 years, when we put the military in the front line of our elections, whether Ayawasu West were gone, Ejura was a different matter. But in the elections and voter registration 2020 proper and 2024, when we put the military in the front line, what happened was that the military, activities resulted in fatalities. So I would support the idea of withdrawing the military protection details of everybody, with the exception of, the chief executives and those at the top, and get the military to go back to barracks and then plan and train how to defend this country.
Right.
Which is what they are established in law to do.
Right. So you also, spoke about some accountability on the part of the previous administration to explain what really went into the decision to use military to protect the EC chair. Indeed, then that means some laws might have been broken, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to go into the legal domain. But the plain language of the Constitution is that the military shall protect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the state. And it's on rare occasions that the military is used internally when there are internal threats to the security of the state. A clear would be, for instance, Boko. But when you go into elections, which must be peaceful, why is there a need? Who can ever justify that military men and women must protect an EC? And let me remind your audience,
right,
or audiences, that we saw on TV that the security detail of the EC, contrary to professional practice or professional drills, were rather carrying handbags. They were carrying the handbags of lawyers of the ruling government going to court. The way you do that, you are exposing the military to situations, as the speaker said, which is the domain of the police. If the police do that, fine, but not the military. Because the military, if they are used in protective duties, must have their eyes and ears and their arms and legs free to use the weapon in order to defend that personality. So I think that we are normalizing the situation, and we must all be happy that since the transition, the presence of the military in society has really gone down, which is the norm. There is nothing unusual about it. And since the military, went back to barracks in quotes, has the security of the state been compromised? For instance, if you want to ask that kind of rhetorical question. So I would wish, of course, the government is not going to do that, but the outgoing government owes an explanation to Ghanaians why it created a narrative as if the state was insecure and cooked up stories about West Togoland and so on, all as a pretext to use the military to suppress, voting or voter aspiration. I mean, that was what happened. It was a narrative that was created. So if a government doesn't create any narrative with ulterior motives, as was the case 8 years ago, or during the past 8 years, then there's no need to have the military in and around the EC. And we must disabuse our minds that somebody is trying to expose the EC to danger. That's not the idea. I think one of the speakers said that protecting the EC doesn't mean that you're going to see a platoon of police around her residence. After all, the speaker doesn't even have that prerogative. So you need one in your vehicle. You need one at your residence, for instance. And that's about it.
Right.
You multiply that by 3 because you go on duty, you go off. So if you have 2 doing that kind of duty, you need another 2 minimum to recuperate and to prepare to come on duty. You see?
Yeah. Okay.
So the EC is not bigger than the Speaker of the House of Parliament, nor the Chief Justice, nor anybody else, with the exception of the President and the Vice. All of them must become normal human beings. And let me probably stretch the argument a bit. Until December 2024, we saw the convoys and fleets of V8 with flashing lights by the political attack. This government will not going to has the politician's life been endangered. You see? So let's learn to live in a society where we're all equal.
Right. I
Except
think
the few who are given some prerogatives. And don't let us, as the speaker said, try to politicize this as if by removing military details, the EC is being exposed to, some threats or whatever.
All right. Thank you so much, Colonel, for speaking to us here on the pause. Let me give the final word to Haruna Mohammed. You agree that you have some explanations to give Ghanaians regarding the use of military when you were in power?
Carlos, I have been very hesitant in the commentary of the security issues of either the withdrawal and leave the mandate to government. But having listened to the security experts, I disagree in certain parts in terms of the narrative that has been put with regards to why military were put in terms of the security of the electoral commissioner. I was waiting to hear that a certain law has been broken. I don't think that the use of military to guard her was contrary to certain constitutional provisions.
But you do know that when it comes to civilian protection, that falls directly under the remit of the police, and the military are supposed to do otherwise. I mean, protect the territorial sovereignty of the country. That is clear in our laws.
You see, the security apparatus in the country might make a decision that myself and you might not have the benefit of hindsight to know why such decisions are made. If you maybe ask, officers of state, in most situations they say need security protection. The circumstances, the nature of which they would have to provide is dependent on the security of state at the time. to decide whether to, and that is why I am hesitant to not to condemn the interior minister for the decisions that they have taken. I don't think that it has gone contrary to any law as to using military. There are other chief executive officers that military is guarding. Are they not civilians? They are civilians. So for me, if it goes against a law, I don't have a problem. But in all the commentary, there has not been mention of a specific provision that has been broken per the instruction or decision to use military to guard the electoral commissioner.
And so you don't think you have any explanations? You don't think you have any explanations at all to give to Ghanaians with regards to why those decisions were made to use military to protect the EC chair?
Because this is a security matter. I was not in charge of the security. And I say security people take decisions based on available information. And when security people are taking certain decisions, as a civilian, you might not have that particular information. So they took the decision. And when you have to use a military to guard somebody, you have to go through a certain process. You ask yourself whether the request and approval process of getting the military met the standards of the request and the approval to use same. That is what you need to ask.
Unfortunately, we have lost Haruna Mohammed there on the line. I don't know if we still have Kenneth Festus Abuaje for a brief reaction. Kenneth, are you there? Right, we don't have Kenneth. Well, you're still watching The Pulse with me, Carlos Kaloni. We'll take a short break. We'll return with more. Please stay. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us here on The Pulse. To some other story, President John Dramani Mahama has come to the aid of the families of Dikpe boat disaster in the Rura municipality. The 7 students met the untimely death after the boat they were traveling on capsized. President Mahama, through Transport Minister Joseph Bukari, has donated 5,000 Ghana cedis and some other items to the victims. Rafiq Salam reports.
On June 14, 2025, 10 students of the Rura Senior High School who went for their routine morning jogging met their untimely death when they veered off from their original plan. They joined a Burkina Faso-bound boat for a jolly ride, who later capsized, drowning all 11 occupants on the boat. 3 of them had managed to swim out of the water. The incident threw the Rura Senior High School and the Rura community into a state of shock and disbelief. The 7 drowned students, comprising of 5 females and 2 males, were later retrieved from the water by the help of local divers and handed over to their respective families for burial. President John Dramani Mahama, concerned about the plight of the bereaved families, and as a mark of showing commiserations, respect, and support to them, donated through the Transport Minister Joseph Bukari a cash amount of 5,000 Ghana cedis and a bag of rice each to the 7 bereaved families. The 3 female survivors were also handed over 2,000 Ghana cedis. In addition, the Acting Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Naval Captain Retired Dr. Kamaldin Ali Esquire, who is an old student of the school, donated 10 bags of rice and 5,000 Ghana cedis to the school. Upper Sudan Minister Charles Wongo Pozung made the donation on their behalf.
I shall make a presentation of 1 bag of rice to each of our fallen heroes' parents with an additional amount of 5,000 Ghana. We know that whatever is being given will not bring our colleagues back. However, as government, it is only important to always sympathize with bereaved families, as we've been doing over the period.
Headmaster of the school, Primus Barrow, on behalf of the school and the affected families, thanked President John Dramani Mahama for the kind gesture.
We want to send our very pleasant thanks back to His Excellency, and in fact also to the Ghana Maritime Authority. In fact, I would say one thing that just came out again, and which we should also be happy about, is for these little ones to get to know that somebody at that level is the product of Rura Senior High School. This is something, if for nothing at all, we must be happy about.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Maritime Authority, GMA, donated 30 life jackets to 5 communities that are by the Black Volta. Each of the communities were also handed 500 Ghana cedis. The GMA used the opportunity to educate and sensitize the people on safety measures when using the boats. Reporting for the news, Rafik Salam, Laura.
Now let's take you to the OT region, where headmaster of Rura Senior High School wants government to complete projects started more than 10 years ago, but abandoned since then. He notes the assembly hall and kitchen complex, plus a 12-unit classroom block have stalled and abandoned by the contractor. The situation has compelled the conversion of a classroom block into a dormitory facility to accommodate students, while other uncompleted structures are used for studies. Peter Seno has more in the following report.
The woes of Rura Senior High School came to the fore during the launch of the 50th anniversary celebration of the school. The school, though 50 years and becoming renowned in recent years for its STEM innovations, have serious infrastructural deficits that have compelled authorities in the school to make some adjustments for the smooth running of the school. Michael Damesi is the headmaster of the school.
The school initially was started as a community school, and then it's migrated to become a government assisted. Initially it was started and it was a technical institute. Then by 1975, government came to absorb the school, and it has now become a government assisted secondary school. That is why today and this year marks the 50th year of the institution of this great school. And we want to celebrate the 50th anniversary. Rura SHS is well noted for its STEM, and it is very true. When the STEM program started in the year 2022, we were among the first group of schools that went, and our output or performance was well appreciated by the whole gathering over there, and this has won a lot of laurels. However, our infrastructure does not match our performance to see. We need more, and there are some ongoing projects that will pray that the government comes to our aid to get this project completed.
This is the dining hall and kitchen complex that was started in 2012. This is also a 12-unit dormitory block started in 2012 but waiting to see its completion. It is currently being used as a classroom facility due to lack of space for teaching and learning. This is supposed to be a 12-unit classroom block. It is currently serving as a dormitory accommodation for the boys, since the initial block for their accommodation is yet to be completed. I met this chemistry class being held in an open dining hall. The facilitator, Wolanyo, and the school prefect, Matthew, say the environment is not conducive for effective teaching and learning.
The concepts that I'm supposed to teach them from a practical perspective, that's from a concrete perspective, and rather doing it from an abstract perspective. And so it's quite challenging for the students, I would say.
Because it is an open place, whenever people are passing or animals are making noise, it distracts our studies here. And also, it is closer to our kitchen. So when they are cooking, in fact, the aroma and the noise from the kitchen distracts our lesson, and it takes away most of the students' concentration.
Authorities and students are appealing to government to consider strongly completing projects started over 10 years ago that have been abandoned. Peter Senu for Joy News.
Let's now take you to the Upper West region, where 38-year-old painter Abdul Rashid Haruna is currently receiving treatment at the Upper West Regional Hospital after allegedly being assaulted and shot by a police intelligence officer identified Olin as Waris. The incident occurred following a confrontation between the two at a crossroads when they nearly collided. This altercation escalated, resulting in the victim sustaining multiple gunshot wounds to his left thigh. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafik Salam report.
According to 38-year-old painter Abdul Rashid Haruna, currently on admission at the General Surgery Ward of the Upper West Regional Hospital, he was riding his motorbike from his home to work when he almost bumped into the personnel of the Police Intelligence Department, PID, whose name has been given only as Waris on the Hippic Road at Dobele, a suburb of Wa.
He moves more and then he stopped and then turned back to me, and then he was saying that he vested and said that I cross him. And, to me, my movement, I did not cross him. I said I did not cross him. He vested. And then he gave me some slaps.
How many slaps?
2. Okay. So the first one I slapped, and then I said, Master, why? I did not cross you. And he said, I've crossed you and you slapped me. So he was saying that I should stop challenging him. So he slapped me again.
An immigration officer who happens to be his relative and was making a phone call closer to the scene tried to intervene, but did not yield the desired results.
He hold my shirt and then pull me up and then give it to me again. So that was then that he wanted to beat me. I blocked, and he said that I want to challenge him. That do I know whom he is? And I said no. So if I offended you, so can't you also forgive? So that was there that he pushed me and then just removed the gunshot and then give it to me.
You just removed the gun and shot?
Yeah, and shot on me.
Close range?
Close range.
How many times did he fire?
He shot one, and then he was trying to give it to me again, and so the guy came and hold him and then pushed the gun down, and then the magazine fell down. So the bullet came out, and then
the father of one wants the police administration to take punitive measures against him and regulate the activities of the PID personnel in the region.
I consider today I'm the one that hurt it. So they should try, and then if they will leave them, but they should give them the authority that will minimize their whatever they are doing, because whatever it has happened. So but we may not know, maybe someone to also hurt. And then according to they said, this is not the first time.
The condition of Abdul Rashid Haruna, according to acting medical director of the Upper West Regional Hospital, Dr. Philip K.K. Babene, is stable, though initially they had some fears.
Currently he's stable, and we are dressing the wound. This morning I saw him in the ward, and we spoke as seeing the wound is in good state. It needs dressing, and because he alleged that he was shot, we also are collaborating with the police so that when he's stable, we'll communicate with the police and then see to his discharge.
Residents of Wa, and for that matter, the Dobele community, are fuming with rage over the incident. The chief of Dobele, Na Abdullah Usman Tarasum Bilinto, together with his elders and opinion leaders in the area this morning, convened a meeting over the issue where they raised several red flags over the conduct of the PID personnel in the area. Among the issues discussed was to petition the regional minister, YMCE, for the relocation of their base from their community. Zakaria Tanda is the assemblyman for Dobele electoral area.
Chief mentioned that their relocation of Dobele to any other community in one municipal. He assures that he cannot.
Was it for the first time that something like this occurred?
Yes, this is about the second time of shooting from police to civilians.
Meanwhile, police in the Upper West region says they have started preliminary investigation on the incident. According to the anonymous source from the police, the suspect was arrested, detained, and made to write his custodial statement.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
to some National Science and Maths quiz. St. James Seminary SHS erupted into celebration after clinching victory in the Bono Hafo Zonal Championship of the 2025 National Science and Maths quiz. Beyond the jubilant scenes, the school sent a bold message to Presec Legon, the team that eliminated them in the last year's quarterfinals.
Right. Oh, me. I was very, the excitement was super. All I have to tell them is they should learn. We are very, very excited. We are very, very excited. So next time. You can't explain our feelings. See, you are the main contestant. You stood in for your school. For the final.
It was better than expected, and alhamdulillah, all praises to God, the maker of the heavens and the earth, and to the school. We are grateful to the school, and we are saying that since the Susek took the championship from us, we are bringing it back, inshallah, God willing.
Right, the excitement and the energy has even overwhelmed me. Such a wonderful experience here. You were also one of the contestants. Yes. First, relax. How is it? How are you feeling now? Everybody is raising you. Everybody is praising you and your team. How do you feel?
It feels good, but it's normal. It feels good. It's normal.
Oh, I see Presec coming. I see Owasa coming. But I said, you are the best.
Well, exciting scenes there. Joining me live with updates, Collins Frimpong from the Bono region and Adobia Asare from the Central region. Let me begin with you, Collins. I see you've been smiling all along. Tell us about the excitement from the Bono region.
Carlos, it's such a wonderful experience, honestly. And myself, I'm not one of those guys that have been enjoying Jama for a while now. And most of the time, I really want to exclude myself from some of these things. But I tell you, Carlos, since James Seminary voice yesterday made me love it. And this morning, even when it started raining, they came in and we needed to be there. And after they won, come and see, they won over 65 points. And they just didn't do it anyhow. The first contest, the first round of the contest was a bit tight when even though they were leading. But point gap was just 4 points. At that time, it was 25 for them and 21 for Sunyane, and also Brekum Presby were also having 18 points, and the Notre Dame girls were also having 15 points. And as a matter of fact, when we started, every school picked their first 4 questions.
Wow.
So that sent a clear signal that nobody is there to joke. Because Notre Dame girls, they have made the final for the first time, though they actually secured the highest points in their qualifiers, 78 on the first day, their first contest.
Right.
And they went on the semi-final and they went to the final. And that was their first time. Then the second round, St. James boys decided to answer every question that came, even if it is not for them.
Interesting.
Every question, he answered it in less than 5 seconds. And at the end of the second round, they gave a gap of over 25 points over there. So the whole thing became massive for them to the point that the students were so happy. And with the Jama, they brought it into the auditorium. And the NSMQ team or the authorities had to warn them that or threaten them that if they continue with that and do not allow the competition to go on, they are going to work everybody from the auditorium until the place became a bit cool for us to continue the third round.
Wow.
Even with that.
I mean that excitement to the Bono region is at another level altogether.
Exactly.
Okay. Tell us briefly about the preparations among the schools themselves. How are they preparing, those who are actually winning, and even before they come to the contest itself? Do you see them as though very prepared actually to carry the day?
Well, I will start with St. James, who won this particular competition. I mean, the zonal championship for Bruno Ahafo. And last year, they were in the quarterfinal, the nationals. They were in the quarterfinal. They were pegged against Presec Labone and also Pope Jones. And that, even though they lost that particular contest, they really did well. They had about 31 points during that particular contest, and it's really paying them. This time around, all that they've been saying is that they are going for a revenge on Presec Labone. They come on their way, because most of the time they meet them and they are ready for them. They are going to meet them. They have found or developed a strategy for them that they will bring on board. They actually have 2 guys that they think, one guy called Camel, they believe that they will be beating them. They won't talk much, but the students that they are not even going to be on stage, they say that they have all the confidence in the guys. Their cousins say that they have all the confidence. They will be beating Presec anytime they meet them. If you look at Brekum Presby also, they've long made it to the nationals before. As a matter of fact, I mean, for a long time, they've not made it to the national before, but this time around, yeah. And when it comes to the NSMQ in the Brown Ahafo zone, nobody mentions Brekum Presby. But this time around, when they came in, they actually defeated big giants in this particular contest. So going into the nationals, I think they are one of the schools that people will be looking out for them, and also the Notre Dame girls who defeated the national championship before, and their best has always been at the 1-8. They've done it twice. This time around coming, I think they have that kind of strength that they will advance to. They will exceed the level that they have been going. Yeah, so that's what I will be one of the strongest schools.
Okay, what should we expect from the region in the coming days, the contest?
Yes, so we are done with the 3 Bono regions, Bono East, Bono and Ahafo. We will be moving to the Upper West there, and we will be having about 4 or 5 contests in the Upper West region, and we are going to start that on Monday. So tomorrow we will be leaving here, then we will head towards Upper West. Then from there, we will also look at the other regions that are also in the northern part of Ghana before we descend down to the Ashanti region.
And you're going to enjoy some guinea fowl in the Upper West region, definitely, Collins.
I hope so. There was a discussion like that.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for the good work you're doing for us by bringing us up to date with what's happening with the context. Now, let's go to the central region to speak to Adobe Asari. If you are here. Earlier, when we spoke to you, you said that you were on your way to your next point. Have you arrived? Adobia, kindly unmute so we hear you.
Hi, Carlos. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I hope you're
So
doing
we have
well
arrived. Yes, I'm doing fine. We've arrived at the Central Region, the Citadel of Education in Ghana. Now, Central Region is called the Citadel of Education in Ghana because it's home to some of the oldest and prestigious schools in Ghana, and it's home to so many senior high schools. You know that when it comes to National Science and Maths quiz, two notable regions. We see a lot of schools from our Central and Ashanti. Now, our contest is beginning just tomorrow. And I think it's important to note that some of the creme de la creme schools you and I know didn't perform so well in the previous year in the nationals.
Right.
So they'll be starting from scratch this year. And that's Adizadel, we have Holy Child, we have Agri Memorial, we have Infantiman Girls. These are schools who usually start from they join their colleagues when the contest has gotten somewhere. Right. And because of their performance last year in the nationals, they'll be starting from scratch with them. So it's going to be very intense because everyone has a point to prove. Everybody wants to show that we've prepared well, and we've come. Now, Adizadel has won the regional championship thrice in a row. Last 3 years, they were regional champions. Last 2 years, they were regional champions. Last year, they were regional champions. But they were kicked out very early in the preliminary stages in the nationals. One may argue that they became complacent. And so, speaking to some of them before coming here, they've made me aware that they are not coming to play. They are not coming to look down on any school. They've studied hard. They've burnt the midnight candle. So it's going to be intense, and I'm looking forward to very, very hard contest. Also, you need to know that the current reigning champions of the NSMQ, last year, 2024, the Infantiman boys are also in the Central Region, and they're also going to battle for the regional championship title. So let's just look out for heated, sweet contest. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Adobia, thank you so much for the update. We'll come to you another time for some update on what really will be happening there. But now let's take you to the international front, because record-breaking heat continues to scorch most of Western Europe. Spain broke its June heat record, and extreme temperatures are expected to move toward Germany by midweek. For more, let's cross to Thomas Sparrow, correspondent with our partners DW in Berlin. Thomas, give us a sense of what the situation is like in Europe as we speak.
Hot indeed, at least for European standards, with record-breaking temperatures for several European countries, especially for the month of June. Spain and Portugal surpassed the 40-degree mark. Germany is expected to have this Wednesday its hottest day of the year as well, getting close to the 40 Celsius mark. And while these kind of temperatures might be common in other parts of the world, they haven't been that common here in Europe in the past. And this obviously means that authorities and citizens are trying to understand, are trying to also discuss what needs to be done to make sure that everyone is protected, especially with this extreme heat. At the same time, authorities are concerned about potential wildfires. Several countries have already registered the first wildfires. The same is the case for Germany. And at the same time, hospitals are on high alert because heat waves, extreme heat, is obviously something particularly dangerous for citizens, especially when they are in cities and when they are outdoors.
Right. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres experienced the heat wave firsthand while visiting Spain and issued significant warning. What did he have to say about the heat?
A significant warning indeed, essentially saying that these extreme heat scenarios, that these extreme heat waves are the new normal in Europe, and that essentially more ambitious climate policies need to be discussed and implemented. Now, it's not the first time that high-ranking officials talk about this new normal. In fact, the World Health Organization stressed that the European region, the broad European region, is the fastest warming region in the world, stressing that around 100 175,000 people annually die in the European region because of heat. This just gives you an idea of the urgency that is needed when it comes to discussing what political decisions, what political solutions need to be implemented specifically to deal with these extreme scenarios.
Well, we know the authorities are also discussing ways to mitigate the effect of these heat waves, especially in cities which get unbearably hot due to dense development and also a lack of greenery and rising temperatures. What are some of the solutions being discussed?
Absolutely. When the temperature is so hot, cities get unbearably hot due to the dense development, concrete, due to the lack of greenery, as you mentioned, due to rising temperatures. And this essentially means that authorities are discussing ways to mitigate the effects of heat waves. And among those discussions are immediate discussions, so short-term solutions, but also medium to long-term solutions when it comes to planning cities for the future. Early warning systems have become particularly important to alert citizens of the potential dangers of heat waves, but there's also a big discussion when it comes to creating green or at least blue parts in the city, so more greenery and also more waterways to essentially cool those cities down. And there's also a discussion about what needs to be implemented to protect specific parts of the population. One discussion here in Germany, at least, is whether the school year should be adapted to make sure that school kids do not need to go to school when the temperature is particularly hot like now. Again, these are some of the discussions that are being carried out here in Europe. In other parts of the world, these kinds of temperatures are not necessarily unusual, but for Europe, as it prepares for this new normal, as experts are saying, all these discussions are becoming more and more important.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Now, from Europe, let's take you to the Americas. As America marks its Independence Day on July 4th, officials at the U.S. Embassy are using the occasion to reflect on the special bonds and similarities that exist between the Republic of Ghana and the American people. Rolf Olson charged affairs at the U.S. Embassy here in Accra, while making brief remarks at a ceremony held in Accra to the anniversary, eulogized the fact that both Ghana and America continue to subscribe to democracy as the choice of governance.
We are both countries that had to adjust from forming part of another nation to conceiving, creating, building, adapting, adjusting, and sustaining our own. Whether it is the 249 years of the United States or the 68 years of Ghana's, independence challenges both of our peoples still today, just as much as that is a historical event to celebrate. And this is a unique year, of course, because it just so happens that with the change in the Ghanaian calendar, tomorrow in Ghana is also Founders Day celebrated. So we are very grateful for that coincidence that we have once again. The parallels between the U.S. and Ghana, of course, extend to our electoral calendars. Last year, as is the case in the last 2 months of every fourth year, Americans and Ghanaians cast their ballots in credible and transparent elections to select a new president. And in the most remarkable coincidence, in both of our elections, a former president defeated an incumbent vice president to retake the office, and both did so this past January. Both of our countries thus have governments that are new, even as we have presidents that are not new. As we all know, new governments bring transitions. New governments bring opportunity, perhaps a requirement, to reevaluate policies and priorities and to make changes and adjustments where they are seen as necessary. Change is indeed an inescapable, essential feature of our evolutions as governments and as countries. Change can come in surprising ways, sometimes abruptly, at other times almost imperceptibly. But our countries would not be the ones that we are proud of today if change had not constituted a constant feature of our respective pasts. Where the experiences of our countries have also intersected is in our long-standing collaboration. Together, we have built a health infrastructure in Ghana that has saved millions of lives and prevented the spread of communicable diseases throughout the West African region.
So that's all we have time for here on the holiday edition of The Pulse, which came to you live from our studios here in Koko Mlemle in Accra. My name is Carlos Kalodi. Thank you so much for watching. LTS is up next. Bye-bye.